I don't know how to change the settings so that it's subscribers only mode. How do I do that? I know, but it didn't show up on the settings as an option to be subscriber only. Thanks, guys. Hey, Yellow Cake Maker. What's up, girl? Welcome to Friday. Yellow Cake Maker, since you are okay, thank you. Thank you. Uno momento acercador. You guys know how to turn on subscribers only mode for chat? So I want to do that, but I don't know how. Isn't it headphone technology? Somebody in tech told me that they designed it that you're supposed to just be able to grab this triangle plastic part with your two fingers and shake it, and it's supposed to detangle itself. But it never fucking works. It never flipping works. Sorry. Apologize for the language. Okay. How's everybody? It's like always in and out. It's never is not in and out. It's never just like free to go. No, no, no.
Is that better? Are we cooking with gas, people? I guess I don't need this one. Yellow Cake Maker says, how have you been? I'm sorry you've gotten a ton of heat from your interwebs lately. Keep your head up. Thank you, Yellow Cake Maker. I'm doing good. I feel like everything has a purpose, and like being severely ridiculed and criticized for my R story has I think opened the door and shined some light on this push that's happening right now, this red pill push. And I just shared a video yesterday of a huge, I forgot his name on his channel. He has a gigantic channel where he makes political cartoons and like satire, like little cartoons about religion and God, like and philosophy. But he did a whole video just videoing his self talking for about an hour about the red pill movement and this fake push for patriarchy and the pick me girls, which Grace Thorpe is one of them. And it's so good. I really encourage everybody to watch the video I shared yesterday. He gives advice for men. He's been married since he was 19 years old, and he had sex with his wife on the first, like before the first date. Like he had sex right when he met her, and he's like, if I listened to these guys when I was 19, my wife, who's the mother of my children, who I'm like deeply in love with still to this day after like 25 years or something, he's like, if I listened to these guys who don't know anything about life when I was 19 years old, I would have considered my wife low value because she slept with me right away. And she would have never been the mother of my children. These guys would have told me to ditch her, that she has a high body count. And so he goes into all of these things. And what I really see it as, like, I put, next stop Burkatown. Because I really see behind this whole push of making men victims and like this war on feminism, and which isn't even feminism. It's like just a war on women. Like it's just a war on women. But it's all like you can see the periphery of the propaganda pushing it, and it's like what religion like super blames women for everything. Like what religion makes women cover their head to toe with black cloth, like you know like yeah. I think it was funny too that Drew Chalk Body Outline was all against Jason Bashir's being a rapist, archaics, and how we shouldn't really trust him and all this because of his deviant predatory past, and yet he comes after me saying I'm making up fake R stories. Nice tits isn't rape. Well, I'm not saying, see, that's the thing too, is like, as a woman, like lots of things happen in your life. And I like shared 2 anecdotal stories of being sexually assaulted, and people want to combine them together and say, oh, you're saying the anesthesiologist raped you because he said nice tits. It's like, no, I never said that. I never said that. But it's interesting now that I am talking about this. YouTube is sharing all of these stories right now that are happening right now of doctors raping women under anesthesia. It's still happening. It happens to this day. It never stopped. Yeah, the anesthesiologist did sexually assault me. Do you guys know how to turn on subscriber only mode? Yeah. And Drew has his like wife out there lying about me, like saying I called her a tranny and said all these things. Total lies. Total lies. It's like it's really pathetic how long these like people have been coming after me for like 5 years, 6 years now. Like I go back and share videos of me like 2, 3 years ago, and I'm talking about Drew talking about my meth sores, like my meth sores. Like he's obsessed. He's literally obsessed with me. Him and his wife. But whatever floats your CIA boat. Um, but yeah, Layla wrote some comment like, "Oh, I made fun of her for her getting attacked or something, and I called her a tranny." I'm like, "What the fuck are you making up, woman?" Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never called you guys trannies. I have questioned your children, the existence of your children and the existence of your relationship, and your motivations about who you are as people. But yeah, I never called you tranny or like said you weren't attacked. Like I don't usually, yeah. Um, I didn't tell Bokarek to do anything. Bokarek did his own stuff. Bokarek contacted me because he wanted me to be his mouthpiece. I didn't tell him to do anything. You're in here like all up on my crotch, Drew. Like, isn't your wife jealous? Like, I would think like if you guys are in real relationships, like if I was Toilet Bowl Earth's wife, I'd be like, why the fuck are you spending your time making memes about this YouTube girl? Like seriously, you need to be like going to your church on Sunday. Like I think he did it on a Sunday. Make a meme about me. Uh oh, she's laughing at you right now too. Okay, that's great. Hope you guys are having a cup of coffee together. I'd love for you guys to do like something in the same room. That might be enlightening. Maybe you guys can touch each other on camera, like, ooh. Sort of spread lies about me. Yeah. But yeah, I think probably, and Drew's part of this too. It's like this, it's like Sharia law cloaked. And I kind of was anticipating making a separate video about this, but yeah, it's like all of these in these like the Whatever show, where I don't even know the age of these people, but they're in their early 20s, and it's just like these guys abusing women, and then when they let the women talk, the women are just either they get called a feminist and they're like kicked off the show, or they're a pick me girl and they say, like, I'm the only one that loves men. All other women are, manipulative haters. They're all liars. Women need to look up to men. Women need to count on men, and they don't need to have jobs. And it would just be so much better if I never had to work and I could just rely on a man, because then I could just have all the free time and like not have to worry about anything, and I could focus on being a woman. That's a pick me. That's a pick me. It's like, if you're with somebody that treats somebody bad, if it's an old person, a young person, a woman, a man, a person that's not the same color as your skin, the same skin tone, like anybody, if you're with somebody and they're treating a certain type of person badly, it's a matter of time. It's just a matter of time till they're going to treat you the same way. Like, it's just a matter of time. People that think other people are lower than them, or that there's a hierarchy of people, you know. But yeah, that's what I see. I see The Handmaid's Tale. I see Burkatown. I see the push, this whole like Pride Month, the attack on our children in the schools and all that. I see this as not a predictive programming, but it's like a way to push the conservatives so far onto the other side so that we will be ultra conservative. And this is the plot in the storyline of The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. This was a book that I studied and wrote essays on in high school as a sophomore in my honors English class, Mrs. Bard. I was really fortunate. My public school in California, I went to a distinguished public school in Northern California, all of like my elementary, middle school, and high school. And I was like on the presidential's list, but I was in all the honors classes. And my teachers in high school, in a public school in California, my teachers had doctorates from like Stanford, Harvard. My senior English teacher, he had a doctorate from like, I think he went undergrad to Princeton, and then he got a doctorate from Stanford, and he spoke fluent Old English, and he knew how to speak Elvish from Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. Like, he knew the language, like he could speak the language because it's based off of Old English. But we read Beowulf, but A Handmaid's Tale was something I chose to read on my own. And back then it had already been made into a made-for-TV movie with the lady who died on the ski slope, who was Liam Neeson's wife. She died and she hit a tree and got a brain injury. She played the lead in the 1990s rendition. And then, of course, there was the newer series on Hulu that I didn't finish. I didn't watch the third season, but anyways, the premise of the story is it's basically now there gets to be a civil war, and the fertility rate of women drops dramatically. People become basically infertile, and a civil war happens, and we kind of break off from Canada, and most of the United States joins Canada, and the rest of like a third of the United States becomes Gilead. And that's like all of what used to be Washington D.C. I think like the South, like New England, is like this new nation called Gilead, and it's this ultra conservative, religious Christian nation. And they changed the Washington Monument, which is, you know, the obelisk. They put another white piece across it, so it's a giant cross. And I passed one of these things in Texas, actually. It's kind of weird when you see like a huge white, it was almost white gray, giant cross. Anyway, so this is in The Handmaid's Tale. They make the Washington Monument a giant cross. And the women that are still able to have babies, the fertile women, are basically considered so special, so prized, so venerable, um, because they are responsible for continuing the human race. Most of the women that are wealthy, most of the women that are married to the leaders of this new Gilead conservative Christian nation, they're all infertile. And they blame the women. The women are all infertile. The men, they're fine. It's not the men's fault. The women are infertile. That's the reason nobody can have babies. So the women that are still fertile, or this women that still are able to have babies, they're rounded up. If they weren't able to escape to Canada, they're rounded up. They're put into basically concentration camps and re-educated. They're put into basically burqas. In the end of season 1, season 2, they put the mask on them to silence them. And this was before the mask came out here. It was pre-programming for COVID. And I read videos about it. I was like crying to my mom about it. And this was before we had to do it. This was on The Handmaid. They mask her up, and she's like, like they had already gone from like total like burqa with the hood. It's like it's a red outfit because they're the fertile handmaids, and they have to always cover. They can't look anybody in the face, especially their head mother, the wife of the handmaids. Once they're trained and indoctrinated, they're like the vessels of the new generation. So then they're sent to go live with the elite families, the leaders of this new nation of Gilead, to be the child bearers and the child rearers of the children. So they have these rituals where the handmaid sits in the lap of the wife who can't have babies, and like, so the handmaid's head is here, and she's like slunched into the lap of the wife, and the wife is holding holding the handmaid down, and then the husband is, you know, doing the handmaid, but he's only making eye contact with his wife as he's doing it, and the handmaid just has to pretend she's not there and try to be like as small as possible because she's not important. It's only her uterus that's important. And when she has the baby, it isn't her baby, it's the wife's baby, the wife and the husband's baby. And this is where I see things going. This is where I see things going, is that these conservative pick-me women and these like incel MGTOW influenced Sharia law guys are, every abortion is against God, and if any woman's pregnant, like, women are going to be strapped down to gurneys. This is what's going to happen. Strapped down to gurneys for their pregnancy so that they don't do anything harmful. The women that are going to be able to have babies are going to be considered wards of the state. Their wombs are going to be more important than their heart and their mind and their sovereignty. It's going to be the baby maker that's the ruler. You're not going to be able to make the choice anymore as a woman. It's this. They'll make the choice for you. Strapped down to gurneys with IVs of nutrition for the baby's health. You can't go to McDonald's. You can't walk around. That might hurt the baby. You can't drive anywhere. You can't, um, you can't, have a drink. Forget that. Have a sneak of smoke. Oh, hell no. You're hurting the baby. You don't have a choice about your baby anymore because now the baby is the next generation of the new state, and the babies, we have to save the children. This is where it's going, where the woman loses all sovereignty rights because now she has to be, it's now the state's, state's property. You're a baby maker, you're a cow. Strap her down. She might harm the baby, she might harm herself. This is where I see things going. And I didn't even realize the whole Crowder thing, that his wife was pregnant with twins. Like, I had watched a little bit of the thing where Grace was like picking apart the thing, and I didn't realize that she was trying to take the car and she was pregnant with twins, and he was not letting her take the car, and he was making her, like, he wanted her to walk the dog and put flea medicine on the dog, and she didn't want to touch the flea medicine because of the babies. But these are the type of men that kill their wives when they're pregnant. There are men like Scott Peterson that when their wife gets pregnant with the first baby, they get so threatened that they're not going to be number one anymore. They get so threatened that they're not going to be the number one honcho, that they're not going to get the attention anymore, that the baby's going to take over, that their wife is not going to be wife anymore, their wife's going to turn into a mother, and they kill their wife and the baby. Like, that's the most dangerous time for a woman to be alive is when she's pregnant, for domestic abuse. And it's like, people comment on my thing, on my channel, like, about not intervening if you see something bad happening, like, oh, you might not know what's going on. Like, oh, you see a man like beating up a woman, you don't want to interfere because you might not know what's going on. Like, are you serious? Yeah, like, so there's a situation where it's okay for the man to beat up the woman. Oh, well, she started it. You didn't know that she actually hit him first. So you shouldn't have intervened because she actually started the fight. That's why he's kicking her ass. Oh, okay. Well, she deserved to have, her skull beaten in and stuff because she started the fight. This mentality, and it's like, what's a great solution for, not intervening on domestic violence, and, like, put them all in burqas, like, burqa town. Like, you walk around, have bruises, cuts all over you, nobody will know. Nobody asks questions, nobody will know. Replaced. Yeah. It's just, it's, let's see what you guys think. Hi, Saqib Kamal. Talk by Yellow says I'm right in my okay. Yellow Cave says I do like burqas though. I was almost into wearing one, but I'm built different. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's one thing if you want to, like, cover yourself up. I don't know, but when you're told you have to cover yourself up because it's your fault for being beautiful, or your fault for men not being able to control themselves. Oh, you showed so much. You showed your shoulders, so it's your fault you were raped. You shouldn't have walked out showing your ankles. That's why you got jumped, bitch. Like, why is it okay to excuse away violence, excuse away predating on people? Like, why is the victim being blamed all the time? Like, why is it okay? Why is it okay to get raped? Like, why is it okay for the rapist to rape people? Oh, well, she was walking around naked. What did she expect? Okay, so I guess it's okay to rape people now, as long as it is if you ask for it. Yellow Cake Maker says, I've seen it. It's not far off from what could happen. I think of that daily, having a baby girl and still fertile. Yeah, that makes me sick. I hate sex in movies and shows, and that was just more weird than usual. My Nana's best friend and her next door neighbor was killed while she was pregnant with her third baby by her husband, and then he offed himself. Yeah, that's really common too. After they kill their wife and their what happened to the other kids? Did the other kids? I guess the other kids didn't get murdered. The two children. Yellow Cake Maker says, I just like the look of it. I think it's gorgeous, and I think the mystery of it is charming. Plus, I don't like being lusted after. Yeah. But it's also this excuse, for men to misbehave. Like, there's no responsibility for men. It's all put onto the woman in the case of the burqa thing. Because even still, aren't they ogling and wondering what's underneath the sheets? Like, what's underneath? Like, oh, look at her eyes. It's like, even still, they like play up the eyes. Like, they put on mascara and eyeliner, it seems, and eyeshadow. So, there's something to be said about, oh, lightning, desensitization, like how like in their body, and how masculine do you have to be, like, to be in a nudist colony? Like, after a month of being in a nudist colony, do you think these men are walking around with boners the whole time? Like, they see a naked lady and it's like, woo! Like, is that happening after the second month of being in the nudist colony? Like, once you're desensitized, and you see the boobs for the 100th time, and you see the crotch, and you see the 50-year-old crotch, and you see this 30-year-old crotch, and you see the 22-year-old crotch, ooh, and then you see there's all kinds of different bodies, there's all kinds of different hair patterns, there's all kinds of different fat patterns, there's heights, there's folds, there's wrinkles, there's hot bodies, there's cold bodies, it's not just, oh, a body, oh, a part, oh, a part, oh, I saw skin. Like, it loses when you're exposed to it. It loses that, you know, yeah, the mystery, ooh, what could it be? I don't know. I've never seen it. It's like this anticipation. It's almost like kind of uh, over. It goes into this thing right now of, I think, dating and online, what people, they'd rather stick into their fantasy image of what somebody is, or what they look like in person, or how they're going to act sexually. They'd like to stick with their image of them than the actual person, you know? And that's something like, uh, like, if you finally see somebody take off their whole covering, like, you're just kind of, you're just amazed that they took it off. Are you actually admiring what's underneath? Or you're just kind of like excited it's off? Like, you probably don't even care about what's underneath, because it's off. It's off. I can see it now. Like, that's in itself is a thing. It's like probably you don't even care what is underneath, because it's off, and you get to see it. But when they're always off, you have to see always the naked bodies. Well, now you can decide, like, I like that naked body, but I don't like that naked body. And that lady, she has like this air about her. And that lady, she kind of looks nasty, like has a bad attitude, So like we are individuals. Like, we have auras, we express ourselves, we project our image. Like, you just put like covers on it, control it, box it. That's what this whole thing is about. It's about controlling the womb, the woman, time, babies, because the woman, if you can't control the woman, oh, then she might have a son. She might have a son, and she might indoctrinate that son against you. She might raise that son to hate you. And then when that son gets big and strong, he's going to fight for his mommy. It's just a matter of time. But if you control mommy, and beat her down so bad that she can't control her son, she can't teach her son, or she teaches her son, women, don't ever listen to women, son. You always listen to the men. Never trust a woman. Well, now you got control. Now you got the woman's control. You got the son's control. You never have to worry about the son growing up to go against you. You got everybody in check. It's the womb. You have to control the next generation. And you do that through the mother. Because if you don't, there's a chance the mother can sneak away and raise the son up different. And then the son comes back and takes down the empire. That's the formula. And then they just want to paint it, oh, feminism. It's like, yeah, I just want to have control over my own body. Can I do that? Can I say when, where, how, why? And not get like attacked? There's this other gal called Where's Polly, and she's in Australia, and she was doing van life, and she's American, but she's like been a nomad for, I think, decades. She's like my age, really pretty. She was doing van life in Australia, like barely, and like barely making it by, and like harvesting ginseng and doing odd jobs. And then she met a guy, and they got a boat, and now they're doing like sailboat life together. Anywho, I had run into her, I think, a few years ago when I was researching van life, or maybe my our story. But she had given a testimony when she lived in France, in Paris, and I think it was like 2010 or something. But it was right after they started pushing in all these Muslim people into France and letting them do their Sharia law in their little neighborhoods, and not like having the France law in the neighborhoods. And she walked through the wrong neighborhood, and it was like 100-degree weather, like summer, and she was just wearing shorts and a tank top, and a bunch of guys jumped her. A bunch of Muslim guys jumped her and arred her. I think in the park or something. And I think she was blamed for it. She shouldn't have been walking through that neighborhood. She shouldn't have been wearing shorts. She shouldn't have been showing her skin. She should have known not to be around those people. It's like, it's her fault now. Like, it's like this excuse that it's okay for men to act that way in certain circumstances. And it's filtering into YouTube. Like I had this one guy who goes on to Benton's channel, Gary Baxter, and he like supported me, and he's like, oh, I would beat that guy up, blah blah blah. And then he went on to like Chalk Body Outline, or Get Chalked Up's stream, and then he wrote, oh, I didn't know that she was out of her body when she heard the anesthesiologist say nice tits, so now I question the story. It's like, dude, so you have my back on one channel, but then on another channel you have to like be one with the boys. Like, it's like this, you have to be one with the boys, and throw rocks at the woman to be part of the boys, to not make it look like you're some kind of simp, or some wimp or whipped. And that's the kind of two-faced shit, like a guy that like says he has your back, like I'm gonna fight for, yeah, I'm gonna beat that guy up, and then on the guy's page he's like, yeah, she kind of seems like a liar, yeah, it's weird, during surgery she'd be out of her body, like it's like most of these people probably never even had surgery, they've never been in an operating room, but it looks good to like. But this is the push. This is what's going to get us into The Handmaid's Tale, where pregnant women are strapped down to gurneys. It's coming, people. If you guys are keep on promoting this, like men against women, women are just, trying to get victim clout. All I see, honestly, is men trying to get victim clout. Like, men being little whiny bitches about how their lives suck and they don't have the same privileges as women. It's like, get off your ass. Get off your ass. Oh, Gary Baxter is here. Yellow Cake Mirror says one killed himself when he was 20, and the other one is still a friend of the family, but he's paralyzed. Oh my gosh. Hi, M Stone. Hi, Hurt Locker. Yellow Cake Mirror says my son is definitely a fighter and doesn't comply. At 21, he thinks for himself and is honorable. That's awesome. Hurt Locker says not in this country. Yella, it's Black Spy gone completely dark. Not trolling this kind of lady. She saved a turtle, and I love that. Aphrodite, your turtle rescue is awesome. Thanks, Hurt Locker. Gary Baxter says she should have had a 9mm on her hip, and no one would have fuck med with her. Teddy Spaghetti says, why do you reject hierarchy and order given to us by God? God is over man, over woman, woman over child. It's been the natural hierarchy for thousands of years. I don't agree with you. How is a man over woman when a woman gives birth to a man? A woman gives birth to a man, so how does that make a man over a woman? Because I kind of would see a woman over a man. I think men and women are a reflection of God together. A man is not a reflection of God by himself. It's a man and a woman together is the ultimate reflection of God, and that produces the child, which is the reflection of love. But I think there are a lot of children that are not reflections of God in here. I think you can be a product not of God and earn it. Like, I think you can like come to it, but yeah, a lot, if you think about it, like a majority of children are not made in love. A majority of children are made in arrangements, I guess you could argue that babies made in test tubes are the ultimate act of love, like because the parents are trying so hard to have a baby. But usually when you pick it apart, a lot of times, and not a lot of times, but even in those relationships, there are other things going on that they're having the baby for. Maybe it's not, maybe they're having the baby to save the relationship, or but yeah, a lot of babies are made out of necessity. A lot of babies are made out of boredom, out of fear about the biological clock ticking. A lot of babies are made out of loneliness. A lot of babies are given like the responsibility to be their parents' best friend. Like, what a huge responsibility to put on a kid. Like, this baby just was born and it has the responsibility of saving its parents' marriage. This baby is going to get mommy and daddy to love each other again. Like, wow, that's a lot of responsibility put on an infant that can't even like feed itself, and poop itself and pee itself and burp itself. And it's going to save your marriage. Yeah. Hurt Locker says, God gives order, does he? I don't know. Gary Baxter says, I was just being honest, Starfire. I didn't hear the whole story. I didn't know that part. Sorry. Well, there was two stories I was sharing. One was when I had surgery when I was 17 years old, and then the other one was when I was drugged and raped when I was 21 years old. But these people like to combine them together like they're one story. But yeah, usually when you're waking up from surgery, you're not like, it's not like you wake up and you're just like, full coherence, like you usually wake up vomiting, you're in and out, like you wake up and then you fall back, and you wake up and you fall back. But people seem to think, oh, she passed out and woke back. Oh, she's lying. She was out of her body during surgery. Liar. Oh, that sounds fishy. Oh, you were unconscious during surgery? That sounds fishy. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, I was in surgery. I was naked. Anesthesiologist put me to sleep, standing over my head. Tube in my mouth. Sensors. Needles. IVs. A drape. Blood coming out of my mouth. Yeah, and I woke up. They were shaking me, waking me up. Wake up, it's all done, it's all done. And I kind of woke up and then went back, and then they started to shift. You're on a drape. You're on like layers of blankets, of like paper blankets. And they use those to shift you from the operating table to the gurney bed so that they can wheel you out of the operating room or wheel you in. All right, so you're waking me up. I'm like, you go back, and then they were shifting me from the operating table to the bed, and I was floating above my body, and I could see myself, and they had me like the blankets were down to they had my pubic area covered, but everything up was uncovered. And they were shifting me to the other bed, and I was floating above my body. And the doctor said, "Those are some nice tits." And then I went right back into my body. And then I woke up in the recovery room, vomiting. Well, that sounds fishy to you. Well, I don't know. I guess you've never heard stories of astral travel, near-death experiences. Like I'll share a video after this where I talk about I've astrally traveled. I've been able to be conscious outside of my body since I was 4 or 5 years old. I had this extreme vision when I was like 5 years old, and I think I was inside of I think I went into an abducted child. I had this whole. I'll share it after this. Where I went into the body of an abducted child, and it was like this wooded area, and it was like this man was fat, and he had like a sweaty stained wife beater, and he was bald, and he was carrying me, and I could hear the crunching of the leaves, and he took me to this like old trailer that was in the woods, and the other stuff happened in the trailer. I'll share the video afterwards. But this was like when I was 5 years old. Like, I don't, like, how can you come up with that kind of crap? But other people can do this. Like, other people can have lucid dreams and astral travels and have experiences during surgery. It's not uncommon to have experiences around surgery. The anesthetic meds are highly tied to the spiritual world, and we don't know how they work. We don't. But it's like, yeah, Gary Baxter, you were just being honest about, but like you like personally questioning to yourself, oh, maybe that is weird that she was out of her body, and heard him say that. Okay, but do you have to type it? Do you have to like write down on a public forum for everybody to see that you question my story, that you think it sounds fishy? Like, that's a whole other level when you publicly question it versus like personally question it. Because now you're stating to the world that I'm that you do agree that I shouldn't be believed. You're like, you're part of the crowd with the pitchforks. Because you don't like, did you have to write that? Did you have to put yeah, it's like you support me on one side, but it's like the anti-support that you put down like cancels it out because people see it, and then they like think it's like it gives them motivation to question me and to question other women in their life that have the courage to say what happened to them. Because when you say what happens to you, it usually doesn't come out perfect. It usually doesn't come out in chronological order. A lot of times when you're attacked, you are drugged, you are vulnerable, something's different. That's why you were attacked. That's why you were chosen, because you were vulnerable. And and women don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be like labeled a liar. They know that they sound questionable. They know that they can't remember everything. They know that they made a stupid decision. They know that they're going to get blamed. So why the fuck are they going to say anything? It's like going to get traumatized all over again just to say, believe me, believe me. That's why most women don't say anything, because it's like, why? To save other women? Well, like most of the women just say like, oh, you deserved it. So, you know, better luck next time. Hope you learned your lesson. Like that's kind of the, I mean, of course, there's lots of people that support me and that have been through been through the same things. But there's also women that have been through it that it's like a perpetual cycle of abuse. Like these are the women that their daughters get molested and they don't believe their daughters because they're like, you're trying to break me and your new stepdad up by getting attention. You're trying to get attention by making this story about your new stepfather. It's like do you think when somebody gets attacked or gets abused that they're like they write like a detailed essay, like an itemized, like that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to put 10:15 I walked to my car, 10:20 I texted my roommate, 10:21 I turned on the ignition, 10:25 I passed First Street. Like it's not perfect. It's not like a lot of times the memory is like it's like wrapped in this tight package, and it's not until you actually talk about it multiple times that it kind of starts to open up and you start to remember other things like, oh yeah, that happened. I can't believe I forgot. Like, oh yeah, that happened too. And it's not, it's like people are like, oh, about medical problems and stuff. When you go to the doctor, it's not like they ask you, oh, a year ago were you hard, or 2 years ago did you have any kind of sexual assault that could have caused this. Like you don't, like, it's not like doctors try to backtrack your social history to figure out what happened to you. That kind of analysis doesn't go on unless that person individually does it. um well, you guys are Teddy says, if you're too stupid and slow to observe the natural hierarchy all over the world in nature, that's on you. Teddy Spaghetti, why don't you explain the natural hierarchy when I'm like operating on 75-year-old men, like taking the plaque out of their carotid arteries, telling them how they need to change their lives, like take new medication, change their exercise routine, when I'm like, you know, cutting off the leg of a veteran that's 60 years old. How is that a natural hierarchy when I'm operating on an older man? Are you saying women can't be surgeons? Women, what about, can a woman deliver a baby? Would that upset the natural hierarchy? Or is like doing any physical things with bodies like a doctor, is that only men work? What about teachers? Can women be teachers, or is that only man work? Or is it only a woman work? Is a woman only allowed to be a teacher and men can't be teachers? Maybe men can be professors and women can be teachers. Is that better? Like men will be called professors, women will be teachers. Is that good? And then women can only be nurses and men can only be the doctors. Is that how the hierarchy naturally is supposed to be? Is that how it's naturally supposed to be? What are men's jobs and women's jobs? Like delivering a baby, like who does that? A woman or a man? What's the natural hierarchy for delivering a baby? Please tell me. Or is a woman just supposed to do that by herself in the woods, holding on to two branches? And there's like a pack of wolves like surrounding her? Like, what's the natural hierarchy of that? Please enlighten me. It's like these freaking incels like have no experience of life, and they go see a woman doctor, and they live with their mommy, and they might have a job at McDonald's where their boss is a woman, and they want to talk about natural hierarchy. Hurt Locker says, yes, Aphrodite, I believe you were OBE. Thanks. So true. I'd love to hear and discuss out of body with you. Gary Baxter says, vivid imagination and loud mouth, you are silly. Okay, Gary. See, now that I called Gary out, he doesn't believe me or like me anymore. Teddy Spaghetti says, it's only been a brief moment in time that we've had enough technology that women can make dumb claims like they are equal to men. I don't think anybody's saying that they're equal. Like, how can you be equal to men? Like, how is it equal? Can a man have a baby? Can a man get pregnant? Like, it's apples and oranges. How, it's just different. Like, you can't, there's no equal. Hurt Locker says, go abuse some ladies, will you? Teddy says, go tell tribes in Afghanistan you're equal to them. I don't think I have anything. Actually, I did post back in the day a picture of the Afghani patient that I did a 3-day long surgery on. He was from Afghanistan, and he was a beautiful man. He was very, very nice, but he had multiple surgeries. My surgeon that I work with had done the like original bypass, and then the patient went to other doctors like to Kaiser, and he had more surgeries with other doctors that messed it up. And then my doctor saw him in the parking lot, and he's like, oh my god, where have you been? And then we came and we saw him for a follow-up, and he needed to have surgery again. Anyways, he had so he had multiple bypass procedures, but when I saw him, he had an aneurysmal fem bypass graft that was bovine, cadaver bovine graft. So he had a cow vein put in from a cow vein put in to connect the blood flow from this iliac artery coming down, and the cow vein connected this artery all the way to this artery to because this artery feeding the leg was blocked. So they connected the cow vein all the way over here to feed the blood down to this leg. So the blood from this leg was coming from the side that was supposed to feed this leg. So when we saw him, the graft was all aneurysmal, so it was all ballooned out underneath his skin. When he had his Speedo on, it looked like he had a giant D, like a big, it looked like he had a big banana in his underwear, but it was the aneurysmal cow vein that had stretched out so much because it was getting aortic blood flow, the pressure right off the heart. A cow vein can't sustain arterial blood pressures for that long. It starts to balloon out and the walls get thin and thin and thin. So anyways, we went in there, and so we had to disconnect the old graft, take it out, reconstitute both iliac arteries, and then put a new graft in to reconnect the blood flow to save both of his legs. And it was like a 9-hour surgery, and the next day it was like another 9-hour surgery, and then the next day it was like a 6-hour surgery because we had to clean everything up, rip all the the graft, the old graft, the cow vein. It had scar tissue that was like this thick around. So the lumen, like the space where the blood was going through, was like a slit. It was like barely a pinhole where the blood was going through from one leg to the other. So yeah, so that guy was from Afghanistan. They have really like beautiful, very characteristic features. It's like almost like ivory skin, like very like milky white skin, black hair, and like ice blue eyes, like the most like icy. It's very, very, it's almost like kind of Portuguese looking, but it's more distinct, like the black hair, the ivory skin, and then like the piercing eyes. Anyways, we really did a great job on him, and he did really good. And he was young. He was like in his 40s. So that Afghanistan man really appreciated my work. He drove taxis. He was a taxi driver. Hurt Locker says, Yella, I was only interested in your comment about doing vocals on my music. If you flattered yourself to think that it was more, sorry for that. You pooped kittens once? Teddy Spears says, holy projection, Aphrodite. What has feminism gotten you besides no children and homeless in a bread truck? I own my bread truck, Teddy Spaghetti. I have lots of things. I have lots of skills. Teddy, you would want to be my friend when shit hits the fan and you're sick. I think you'd want me as your friend. You could be married with children living in a nice home. Well, I was married living in a nice home, but that didn't make me happy. I'm not just, you realize that you can't just check boxes of what makes you happy because society tells you these are the things that make you happy. You have to go to college, you have to get a good job, you have to get married, you have to have kids by the time you're 40. and then you, I don't know, put them in daycare, Montessori school, soccer team. Meantime, you're going to marriage counseling with your husband. You have a second rental home. Like, uh, then you have a 10-year wedding anniversary party, and like, you can check all the boxes and pretend, for Facebook friends to make it look like you're having the happiest life. But most people that do that aren't really happy. They're just trying to look happy. And I at least knew that when I was married and had the house, and was preparing to have kids, like, I knew that if I kept on pursuing that, I wasn't going to be happy, and then I'd be stuck with kids with somebody I wasn't happy with. And I'm not going to do that to my kids. Like, I'm not going to put my kids into a situation where their parents hate each other, their parents don't want to be together. I'm not going to do that to children. That's not fair. Like, how is it fair to bring a life into this world and not give them the best opportunities possible? Like, why are you, like, why would you choose to do that to a child unless you're doing it to fulfill your own loneliness, or to fulfill some, like, oh, my friends both have 2 kids, so now I have to have 2 kids, or all my friends have kids now, and, like, that's not, that doesn't make good kids. Like, kids being born with all these responsibilities. Like, oh, mom, it's not that you loved daddy so much that you wanted to make a baby and have a family. It was that you were lonely and your biological clock was ticking and all your friends told you that you needed to have a baby. That's why you had me. Kurt Locker says, Katie, you ever just entertain someone instead of trying to belittle them? You're good, said not to judge. LOL. So, like, in normal surgery, so melodramatic. I don't, like, I don't know what a normal surgery is. Like, I did surgeries on sick people. I did surgeries in the hospital. I did surgeries on sick people, like people that needed to be saved. A lot of surgeons do surgeries in surgery centers, plastic surgeries, elective surgeries, knee replacements, nose jobs, mole removals, bunion removals. Okay, those are surgeries on relatively healthy people. Okay, you can do those in surgery centers that are not connected to hospitals. Like, the surgeon has his own office, and at the office there's an operating room, and he does it all himself. Those are for healthy people. I did surgeries on sick people. People that came into the emergency room. People that were, like, gonna die. Like, people that, like, didn't have blood flow to their brain. People that didn't have blood flow to their leg. People that didn't have blood flow to their hand. And when you cut into them, it's not pretty and nice and healthy tissue. It's like nasty cholesterol. There's like crystals in the skin. It like crunches, it breaks, things don't sew right. These are hard surgeries. A lot of surgeons, they can't cut it. Like, they can't cut it. They decide to do the easy people, the healthy people. They become, or they don't become surgeons. It's really hard to be a surgeon on sick people because you have to be good enough that you don't kill everybody, that people survive the surgery, so that you still, like, you have good numbers. People survive your surgeries, they get better. Like, it takes a certain level of expertise to operate on sick people. Like, it's the tissues, the skin, the muscle, the fat. It's not the same as a healthy person having surgery. So I don't really know what happens to sick people, but when I had surgery, I was a healthy person having surgery. So I did have that out of body experience when I was waking up. Kurt Luck says, you ever had an OBE while just sleeping after? Yeah, I mean, well, most of my dreams are lucid. I have a lot of inception dreams where I actually have a dream inside of a dream. Where I have a lot of dreams where I wake up, like I'll wake up in a bed in my dream, and I'll wake up with like a whole backstory in my head. Like I know I have things to do that day. I have things I did yesterday. I have like memories in my dream of that life. That little, like a movie. Like it's like I have a character, and I wake up and I have the memory bank of that character, and I'm like going through the day, and I'm like I have like things I gotta do, la la, like I have places I have to be. I like forget things, and then I'll like suddenly realize that I'm in a dream because things don't start adding up, and then I'll like wake up again in my dream in another bed. So that will happen a lot. Um, when I was a child, I'd have lifetime dreams where I'd live. I like when I was in my adolescence, like 12 to 16. I'd sleep like 14 hours. I'd sleep long time, and I'd wake up exhausted. I'd wake up still tired. But I would have dreams where I'd live a lifetime. Like there was this one dream, and it was like Dune. I had the dream of Dune, basically, and I had a whole life as a princess in like it was like a space princess, and then I grew up to be an old woman, and I was like in my deathbed, and I was like talking to my generations of like progeny, and I became like I had this like wide brimmed hat. This is when I was like 13, 14, and I lived a whole lifetime in my dream, and I ended up being like this. I had a wide brimmed hat, and it was black, and it had all these little lights, and it was like the night sky, and the stars were like my babies, and like I became the sky, and it was like my hat was the sky with the stars in it. Um, I also used to have dreams where I was in video games, where I'd have like a lot of third person perspective. I don't have as many third person perspective dreams as I used to. Now it's more first person. But a majority of my dreams, I'd be hovering above my head, looking at the back of my head, like one of those player games, where you're kind of like floating over the back of the head. Um, Thank you. Dimitri wants to know if you guys know any good places on the east. Well, it's not really East Coast. Between Arkansas and North Carolina, you guys know of any good places? Or Washington? He wants. Well, we can go to Washington D.C. after. Oh, yeah, that does sound interesting. Oh, okay. Sorry. To get back to your comments here. Okay. Teddy says, sounds made up. How can you even be sure that wasn't a sick dream you had? Kurt Locker, normal surgery, Teddy. What's normal about surgery? Person experiences pain in a different way. Oh, cool. That sounds amazing. Actually, too. I was 3. Teddy says, moving people from beds after surgery like that is pretty routine. Yeah. She was trying to be a witness for herself while also claiming to be under anesthesia. What a little bit. Okay. Well, well, if you can't wrap your mind around it, that's okay. Her Locke says, my first dream, I died vividly and completely. I was 3. I never forgot because I died. Oh, wow. You probably did hurt Locker. I think a lot of what is going on here is mental, and we're played into game scenarios. At least that's what, like, Og Tell how he described how we're run into dreamscapes. That matched perfectly for my experience. How our consciousness is basically run into like gladiator clones while we sleep. Like our consciousness is uploaded into actual other bodies, but the other bodies are cloned and they're usually drugged. So the clone body that your consciousness enters into while you're asleep, the body itself is drugged. So when you're in the body, you still feel like you're in a dream state. Like the druggedness of the body you're in makes it feel like you're still sleeping in that unconscious dream state. And then they put you into some kind of gladiator situation where you're being mauled or attacked or running. And it's like this sport, like this voyeur reality show, uh, coliseum kind of situation, and then you die, your body dies, the clone body dies or gets killed, and then your consciousness is transferred back to your sleeping body, and you wake up and you think that you've had a dream that was really intense, and you kind of had physical feelings, but you just think, oh, I just dreamt, and you feel really groggy, and you're still sleepy. You might even have a pain where you got injured in your dream. So yeah. Kurt Locker says, don't pay mind to those who don't know what you're talking about. I've been to native cultures all over the world. Out of body is legit experience, and you describe it. Thank you. Yeah, seriously, like it's actually a very common practice for a lot of cultures to go out of body, and we do it a lot. We just don't even realize it. Like a lot of times we're out of body while we're driving. Like if you ever can, like when you try to figure out where to go when you're driving, or you're trying to figure out the geography, you usually go out of body and look at the landscape. And I think the way that our lanes are set up, like this is a theory I had early on in my awakening, but the way they stack up the lanes, all of the drivers' heads are in a perfect line. So if you think about each brain as like a conductive node, you're going to have a lot more synchronicity if all of your nodes are in a perfect line. Now you have like direct transmission versus if the nodes are all askew. Like if the cars are all like driving not in line with each other, well then the driver's heads are all, zigzagged all over the place. But when you're driving like in traffic or just in the fast lane, all the driver heads are almost perfectly aligned in the driver's seat in the positions of the cars. So you can like transmit a thought or like something where everybody that's in the driver's seat and everybody in the passenger, they all are aligned with that same. Hi, Kat. Rolling, going back. Hi, Lisa Rose, 18. What's up, girl? Hi, Tiny Chud. Hi, Adrian. Adrian says, you're spot on, girl. Tiny Chud says, Aphrodite, your skin looks very healthy today. Have you been sleeping and drinking water regularly? I know I've accused you of consuming certain products, and it looks like you've been abstaining. Well, I got to tell you about Hot Springs, Arkansas. I went to the Quapaw Bath 2 days ago, and it was amazing. and the hot springs water is free. There's all kinds. The only thing is you're not allowed to sell it, but you can fill it. It's all free mineral water. It has a lot of salt in it. I think it has a lot of borate in it. I definitely more floatable in the hot springs water than you are in like the lake water. Um, I've been swimming a lot. Swimming is good for you. But I haven't changed my diet at all. I haven't changed. I don't do drugs. Dang it! Oh. Please, don't put it on. Truth says, I left for 45 minutes and you're still talking about the same thing. Have you watched your channel, Drew? You talk about the same thing for 3 months. Let's talk about Ted Kaczynski for the 300th time. Oh, he died, so I have some content I can make. For boring an hour. Like, get some inspiration, Drew. Hurt Locker says, you guys derail so much so you can laugh when she gets mad. I'd just like to hear about her lucid dreams in childhood. Gary Baxter says, when I tuned in, all I heard was the lewd comment made to you, Starfire. I missed the anesthesia part, my bad. Sorry you feel let down, but when I got the entire story, it changed. Well, what story are you talking about, Gary? My anesthesia story or my rape story? You're saying because I heard the comment when I was 17 waking up from anesthesia, that changes your belief about me being raped? Is that what you're saying? Tiny Ched says, Hurt Locker brings up a valid complaint. Thanks, Tiny True Thousands. Experience what she discusses, including me. Tell her. Aphrodite, you describe out of body perfectly. Thanks. Teddy says, okay, yeah, you're fake opera. Yeah, okay. Tiny says, women can be surgeons, but they shouldn't. Okay. You guys didn't ask any of my questions about childbirth. Yeah, if women can't be surgeons, who's delivering the babies? Men? Are men the ones that should be delivering a baby? Is that a man's job? Teaching is definitely not men's work. Okay, so men shouldn't be teachers. What about a college professor? No, is that different? So you're saying Ben Thorpe does women's work? Teddy Spaghetti, how did you being a surgeon work out? My being a surgeon worked out great. They're calling me every day, trying to get me to work. Chinese Chip says, yes, men equal professors, women equal toddler caretakers. Okay. Kurt Locker says, women should shoot better, have a far more steady hand, ergo best to do this job. Also more compassionate for patients. Exactly. Women have much better hands for surgery. You can get into small places. I can conform my hand into a smaller point to get into places. I have more aesthetically pleasing scars. I communicate better with patients. When your patient understands what's happening, they heal better. When a patient's confused and they are scared and they don't know what's going on, they're going to be sick longer. It's how it works. Like, you have to mentally prepare for the surgery and then you mentally heal too. Like, if the person knows this is where it's being cut, this is what's sewn up, I sewed this muscle together, well then now they can use that image in their mind and think about it healing and picture it getting better in their mind. And that's how you heal people. Like, You actually heal and you improve your body by imagining your anatomy, like visualizing your anatomy in your mind. This is how women innervate their vagina. Okay, this is how you get more sensitization in your vaginal vaults. And you can work this for anything. You can for healing cancer, for making something look better. If you have something you don't like about yourself, you picture it in your mind about what it looks like, all of the wrinkles, the creases, ins and outs, and then you picture what you want happening to it, and then you focus energy, and then you feel that part of your body, like you look at it in your mind, and then you try to feel it, like where is it in my body? I'm feeling it, okay, and then you try to like move the muscles, and you connect the image with the physical part. And that's how you start to get the real good healing. That's how you, so when patients have that information, when you communicate with the patient and like get them involved in that level, they do so much better than if you're just like, yeah, we'll fix ya. You'll recover in 3 days, and you don't tell them what you're doing, what you're cutting, what you're taking out, what you put in, what got sewed up, what didn't get sewed up. Like people want to know, like, oh, there's some clips in there, there's a few staples, most of it's absorbable sutures. You know, you want to like massage it, you want to, put your energy to it. Don't overwork your muscles in that area. Like, the more you involve a patient and communicate to them, like they're the one that dictates if they're going to get better or not. It's all up to the patient. If the patient doesn't want to get better, they're not going to get better. You can do everything you can, do the perfect surgery, give them all the antibiotics, and if they go home and they don't want to get better, that wound will get infected. They'll come back with, sepsis. People are their own worst enemy and their best hero. Teddy Spade is having fun with me. Teddy says, I'm denying Christ. Hurt Locker says, I deny Christ, but it doesn't. LOL. How would you know? Teddy says, you probably shouldn't be doing OBE stuff if you're Christian. It kind of doesn't really, it kind of just happens. Hurt Locker says, actually follow your Christ. I just believe we should strive to miss the mark of the red words as little as we can. You have a chance to do good here, Teddy, and be an example of your God. That's right, Teddy. If you're professing Christ, this is your example to be Christ. You have to act like it. Teddy says, Hurt Locker says, who denies Christ now, Teddy? Teddy says, you and Aphrodite do with all the blasphemy. Stop attacking Christ. Christ is king. Hurt Locker says, how did I attack Christ, you fake Christian? Those who hide under guise of Christians go and put in works of their devil. Teddy says, you're judging me now, full circle. Teddy says, projection, you're mad because people wish to keep traditional lives and not have a world run by women. How are you having, Teddy, what's your traditional life? It seems like you're focusing your attention on being an internet troll, not finding a woman to have a baby with. Hi, Kat. Hurt Locker says, Teddy, I think you might be a pole smoker in secret, bro. I'm not 40 years old yet, by the way. Are you guys going to throw me a 40-year-old party in December? I was born a week before Jesus. You can figure it out. I was born on the last day of a fucus, as the sun was setting on the sign of the fucus. That was when I was let into this world. And a fucus is the master healer, by the way. And my birthday equals 33 when you add it up. Multiple ways. You can add 12 and 18, and that equals 33. Or you can add 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 8 plus 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 3, and that equals 33 too. Isn't that weird? I'm like the sign of Ophiuchus, the master healer wrangling the snake. I became a master healer, and my birthday equals 33, which is a master healer. Wow, and both of my parents' names start with an M. MM, that's 33, M and M. They're actually MK, two MKs, M squared, MK Ultra. Yeah. Mother Marilyn, Mary, Mark of the Bees. And I was born on the 33rd parallel line in Oceanside, California. Isn't that weird? 33 all over the place. Isn't that weird? Or am I making that up? Am I making that up? Did I make up the story that my birthday equals 33? Did I make it up? How about that I was born on the 33rd parallel line? Did I make that up too? Or that my mom went to a nuclear power plant every day? And my dad scuba dived at the same nuclear power plant on the 33rd parallel line? Did I make that up? No, I didn't. That's just my life. But I think everybody has signs in their lives that they just have to recognize about themselves. And it's really fun to figure it out. Locker says, wow, way to rack up them sins today, and if you had to sacrifice a lamb, you starve your family in one day. Kat says, I don't remember my deal. Locker says, how do you know? Okay. Teddy, you're rolling bowls of meth? You don't roll a bowl. Locker says, what's rolling bowls? I don't use meth, so I'm not hip to the link. I know, right? I don't use meth either, but I'm pretty sure you don't roll a bowl. Rolling the meth pipe and smoking big fat clouds of meth. Okay. Yeah, I don't do that. Cat says, Teddy be nice. He does not do meth. Yeah, neither does Cat. Hurt Locker says, projection lies judgment. You got some prayers for you tonight, Teddy. Hurt Locker and Teddy Spaghetti are kind of going back and forth. Hurt Locker says, yes, but you claiming Christianity isn't a persona. It's a personal claim, and it doesn't allow persona to do sin, and you do the person, and you the person isn't responsible. Kat says, I don't do religion or politics. I'm out. So Locker says, you are a pathetic fake Christian. Go study Revelations. Teddy says, commenting on Aphrodite and your lies isn't judgment. It's just commentary. And you guys fold and whine like children the minute someone disagrees with you. LOL. Hurt Locker says, wasting your time belittling. Go put your face in the red words. You need them badly. Teddy says, those women and simps gaslight Christians like typical leftists and drug use. Hurt Locker says 80+% of people report an OBE-like experience. Yeah. Hi, Quantum Epic. Kat says, Teddy, why do you come to women's live streams if you're so against us? Something make you look like a troll? Kat, you know I love you. Hurt Locker says, a group of these look for data like paint signs, spray paint to go through a place and see if it is there. In many cases, it turns out that somehow they did see real details of a place they had never been. Quantum says, great question, Kat. Hurt Locker says, Teddy, love is conditional. Kat says, I'm predicting the standing machine gonna something me. Anyone know him? Aren't you friends with the Sanity Machine, Kat? Teddy says, I have unconditional love for Kat and giant nanobots. Are duck eggs good, Kat? Hurt Locker asks. Kat says, yeah, I put the yolks in my raw milk and eggnog. So nutritious. Teddy says, Ben Thorpe is basically trans at this point. Kat says, the machine is forcing women into C's. Kat, your comments cut off for me because you're like, it cuts off for me. Like at the end, when it goes past the spell breaker, like anything that goes past the spell breaker gets cut off. Kat says, both my daughter and I had planned home, I think birth, but ended up in the hospital. Hurt Locker says, well, Teddy will agree on that Ben Thorpe at least. Hurt Locker says, I'm down to judge the fuck out of that guy's persona. Teddy says, guys, if everyone stopped talking about the Thorpes, it would probably go away. Yeah, they do need to be like put out of this like not talk about. Teddy says, stop bringing them, stop mentioning them for a month. Hurt Locker says, I had enough actions are only persona. I think Grace has syndrome. She's highly confused. Teddy says, I bet they lose so many numbers. Hurt Locker says, gives her some twisted right to be horrible to people and take zero responsibility. Teddy says, someone send Aphrodite an old phone so she can read chat when it's current. Kat says, 40 is the age I feel you become an adult. Hurt Locker says, my B-day equals 36. Kat says, 33 is my number, my phone number ends in 33. Yep. Had the same number, T-Mobile for 20 years. Kat says, how old are you, Teddy? Hurt Locker, Teddy knows exactly how it's done, but from tutorials, not experience. Teddy says, I'm old ass in cat. I'm old ass in cat? What the heck? Hi, Michelle. What's up, Michelle? I don't think Sherelle is here. You know, Sherelle was up late last night. I saw her on the Fango stream right before I went to bed. Sherelle tried to get me to go on to the Truther Cop stream last night, and I was on there. He had the subscribers mode only on, so I had to subscribe and then wait for 5 minutes before I could comment. And during that 5 minutes while I was waiting, it was just like the boring conversation about the N-word. Like, and he wasn't even doing it himself. He was reviewing some other conversation that was going on on some other live stream. And, like, I don't, like, it's such a trap. Like this argument has been going on for so long. Like, when I was in underground college in San Diego, they were having this conversation, the debate about the N-word. And that was like before my spiritual awakening. And it was like nauseating back then. Like why get caught up in the drivel? Like it's about the the peasants. It's like the peasants fighting over which gruel they get to eat. Like you want to fight about peasant stuff, it's going to keep you in the peasants. Like it's about slave talk, about peasant talk. Like I want the right to call you a peasant. Like it's just going to keep you down. It's just going to keep you occupied and down there. Like why argue for the right to, like, it's such a distraction, that whole argument, and it goes nowhere. It never gets resolved. Nobody comes to any enlightenment about the N-word and the versions of it and who can say it. Nothing ever gets, there's no moving on from it. It's just a trap to keep you cesspooling. Yeah, it's like for adolescents. Like really, why are these 40-year-old dudes arguing about the N-word and the right to say it? Like don't. What about your women and children? What about your, government? What about your fight for sovereign? Like, you want to argue about the N-word, like, and your right to say it, and it's just so low. It's just the lowest. It's just a low argument. I can't even really listen to, like, I have so many other better things to watch and to listen to, or like I'd rather hear debates about way more important things than if this peasant is allowed to call this peasant a derogatory name. People who are making the arguments don't see what they're arguing for. It's like you're arguing for control, you're arguing for censorship, you're arguing to, like, demean people. Like, it's like, what are you really arguing? It's just like people are arguing to argue, and it's just promoting this racial crap. And I just think it's, like, I don't know if you people see, like, the similarities between black and white and men and women. Like, the people like to say, totally different, it's totally different. It's like, it's the same thing. It's just keeping us fighting amongst each other. Like, it's not an argument. Men and women are different, and we're supposed to work together as a team. And if we're fighting, then that's the point, is to keep us fighting, keep us low. Same thing between the races. Like, it's not everybody. I mean, yeah, we're equal, like, in our rights of sovereignty, but everybody has special traits. Everybody has special strengths. Everybody has special weaknesses. And sometimes there are generalities to a group of people. Like, these type of group of people tend to eat this. This type of group of people tend to act this way during this time of the month. This type of people, they tend to celebrate this holiday. Like, there are generalities that you can make about groups of people, but there's still individuals within that group. That doesn't mean this group is equal to this group. Well, they believe in different things. Yeah, they're one's not better than the other, but they're still different. They still have different things to offer. Like, it's not like they're equal or one's better than the other. It's like there's not just two options. It's like they're different, but that's great. It's great that it's different. Like, we don't want it all to be the same. Like, I mean, I think Middle Eastern guys are kind of obsessed with American culture. Like, I think they watch American stuff and, like, look at American women probably sneak prawn. Like, can you imagine a man, you as a man, looking out into the community and all the women are covered in black, like head to toe, like look like tents walking around? Like, I think men and women, we like to look out into people and see a variety. Like, oh, that person's wearing green, that person's wearing red, oh, that lady has a funny hat, oh, look at that guy's shoes. Like, we like to see different things, different sizes, different shapes, different looks, different attitudes. Like, it inspires your brain, it's stimulating. Like a man, you want to see different types of women, different, like, you don't want them all looking like black tents walking around. Like, how fun is that? How stimulating is that? Like, how pleasurable is that to look? Like, if you look into your landscape and it's just green grass and trees all looking the same. Like, you want green flowers and pink flowers and shrubs and trees and bushes and succulents and, you know, all kinds of stuff. Like, you do get starved for aesthetic stimulation eventually. If you live in a white padded room, you start to imagine things. You start painting things on the wall to give you stimulation. Like, if you cover up all the pretty women, all the pretty flowers, you put little tents on them, well, that's no fun for anybody. You only get to see the flower, like, behind the door, you know, at a certain time of day after you washed yourself 5 times, and you said the prayer, and you whipped yourself 3 times, and then you turned around clockwise this way, and you turned around clockwise this way, and you bowed, and then you can see the flower. But only for 10 minutes. Teddy says, are you trying to convert me into 7 days Adventist? You can't eat caffeine. Seventh-day Adventists are vegetarians. They're not vegan. Kurt Lager says, it says, hearts and minds grow. Most will fail. What makes you so convinced you will fall in the state minority and act like a prick? He says, no, I'm just here to talk to Aphrodite and her friends. You're the one all mad at Christians. Okay, he says, so my salvation is at risk because I called Aphrodite a meth head in a bread truck? I think everybody's saved, but only if you believe it. Like, if you don't believe you're saved, if you believe that you're a bad person, that you're naughty, that you don't deserve what you have, then you won't get anything when you die. You won't. If you believe that about yourself, like you've been a bad person and you probably deserve some punishment, you will get punished. But if you believe you're saved, if you believe you deserve, then you'll get it. I think it's about, but I think most people really don't like themselves, and so they project an image that they have confidence, but behind closed doors they really don't like themselves, and they say bad things to themselves in their head. And if you're doing that, if you're like, you have mantras in your head saying you're stupid, I'm ugly, nobody's gonna love you, that's what you believe about yourself, that's what's gonna happen. Michelle says, I think it's due to lack last-ditch efforts to separate most left are NPC, souls, etc. It's all energy draining now. Michelle says, my friend calls them fucktards. I laugh my ass off. Yeah, energy harvest. Quantum Epic says, yes, 100%. Teddy says, you should change your channel name to Aphrodite 144P. What's the P? Black 10 LOL, says Adrian. And what's with like all, like YouTube has changed it so now like everybody, when you write a comment, if your regular name doesn't show up, it's like that numbered name. Quantum Epic says, all the chaos and BS drama going on in certain corners of YouTube just spreads low vibrational energy. Yes, 100%. Adrian says, I'm working in the garden listening. Sweet. Sammy! Yep. So, yeah. It looks like it might be thunderstorming today. I did hear some thunder. Hi, Schward. Greetings. Cat says I'm still in YouTube jail. Uh-oh. Yep. Let's see if I can put my headphones back in. Yep. I have to look to see how to put subscribers only mode on. Does anybody know how to do that on the chat to put subscribers only mode on? So you're heading to the East Coast now? Yes, I am. I am in Arkansas, which I absolutely love. I need to do a video about New Mexico, which I loved and did not expect to be like. It's really great. I can see though how now how people in Arkansas could never believe in chemtrails. I can see that because there are places that do not have chemtrails still in the United States. I think they're places where the humans are still very connected to nature and or possibly run next to Indian reservations. I noticed like Albuquerque is it has the places that don't have chemtrails have real weather. Like they have natural weather. And the natural weather is humid, and then when it gets so humid, it rains and thunderstorms. There's electricity in the air. It gets electrical at night where the electricity just kind of goes, bounces in the clouds and doesn't hit the ground. Like that never ever happens in California. Like when there were the few times there were thunderstorms, it was like once in a lifetime thunderstorm where I was just like, wow. But like daily thunderstorms, I think is how it's normally supposed to be, like the natural weather. And here there's like regular clouds. The clouds are low, but the ceiling feels really high. The firmament feels high, but the clouds are low. Same thing with in Albuquerque. And usually the clouds will have flat bottoms. They'll be big puffy at the top, and then they'll all be flat at the bottom. But yeah, yesterday there was like the sylphy kind of like, the angel kind of sylphs, but there wasn't chemtrails. I haven't seen any chemtrails. There was in Oklahoma City in Texas, and in Branson, Missouri there was. But here in Arkansas, and it's beautiful. Like Arkansas is like place. Here, Arkansas and Oklahoma, top notch. And the people are really nice. A guy in Walmart approached Dimitri. It was in the produce section again. The last Walmart we were in Hot Springs. We were in the produce section, and this guy comes up, and he's probably in his 60s. But he looks like he had a ponytail. And he comes up to Dimitri, he's like, cut your hair! cut your hair, you liberal, or something like that. And we kind of were just kind of like, what was going on? And then we saw, and he's like, ah, ha, ha, you should cut your ponytail. And he had a ponytail too, but he kind of then he wanted to have a, hi, Demi. he's like, oh, you got to be careful, walking around with a ponytail. They spot you as a liberal around here. And he wanted to talk about the Trump's arraignment. And he's like, oh, people are getting really, really excited if they know you're a liberal with the ponytail. And and I was kind of like, oh, we'll see what happens. I kind of wanted to say, well, I think it's all an act and Trump's an actor, but like it was in the middle of the Walmart by the potatoes. So I was kind of just like, yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Like have a good day. But it was like this total NPC moment, but it was like NPC in Arkansas because in California you would never get stopped for having a ponytail, but he was like, another guy with a ponytail. Oh, you liberal hippie. Wait, what did he say? Are you a surfer? No, he didn't. But it was funny. Kat says, I'm heading east next month to Maine. Oh, cool. A few states I haven't been to, and then back to North Carolina. It was nice. Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah. So that's about it. I really want to do my women's panel on birth control. The thing is I have to be in a good enough signal area to work 2 phones. You think Sunday would be a good day to do it? I want to do a panel on baby control. I want to know what they've used, what has worked, what hasn't worked, side effects, good side effects, bad side effects, problems you've run into with different types of birth control, what has changed after you stopped using the birth control, if you think it affected your fertility, if it affected your mood, if it affected your body, what your friends do for birth control, like any failures, if it didn't work and you used it correctly. Yeah, because I don't think women talk about it enough, at least publicly. And I think there's lots of benefits to certain types of birth control and also drawbacks and side effects. And I think for the most part right now, it's kind of talked about as like all birth control is bad or, or like some kind of like harmful. And I have my opinions about it too, personally and medically with my patients and working from the other side. And also like 3 of my girlfriends graduating out of medical school went straight to Planned Parenthood. And I know their experiences working at Planned Parenthood and the protocols that they were told on how to prescribe birth control to certain populations of young girls, what was pushed onto young girls for birth control options. I know IUDs are heavily promoted as the best option for women, and I am a strong proponent against IUDs. I think they're horrible. But I would love to know any of you guys that have experience with IUDs, oral contraception, condoms, the rhythm method, patches, diaphragms, NuvaRing, Depo-Provera, Norplant, using the calendar, all of that, using ovulation monitoring. Even I'd like to talk about trying to get pregnant. women that have used birth control or have never used birth control and issues or non-issues getting pregnant. I want to know the good, the bad, the ugly, like success stories, things that worked for you, maybe things that worked for you and didn't work for your friend, things that worked for your friend didn't work for you. I want to talk about all of it, and you know, have a safe space where we can kind of just, you know, tell our experiences and not be judged. Um, because I think definitely among the generations of women going to gynecologists and, you know, OBGYNs, depending on your age, you were told different things and recommended different things of what the best way or the best way to monitor your body or manage your body is. So I think that's really interesting because a 14-year-old going to the gynecologist today is going to be told something totally different than a 14-year-old going to the gynecologist in 1998, which was me. So, actually, I don't think I went to the gynecologist until I was like, I didn't have a woman's exam until I got birth control, I think, when I was 17. Yeah. But, that too. I want to know about experiences you've had trying to get birth control, going to the doctor, talking to the doctor, what the doctor told you, if the doctor, you know, how the women's exams have gone for you, how pap smears have gone for you. Are they pieces of cake? Are they pains in the ass? Were you injured? Did you have bad experiences? Did you have great experiences? You know, I want to know all of it. I think it would be a great discussion topic. So, let's try to do that on Sunday morning. Yeah, and you don't have to show your face. You can just talk. Um, but yeah, and then I will kind of just share my stuff. And if anybody wants to call in, I'd love to hear all stories, all angles. If you're against birth control, if you're for birth control. But I mostly want to hear your own personal stories. I don't really want to hear like, you've never, like, you just have judgments about it, but you don't have, I mean, I guess if you've never tried it and yeah, you have experiences about never using it, that's valuable experience too. Because birth control is like the hallmark of a woman being able to really have sovereignty and like control in a society where women are not taught how their bodies work. If we grew up in a society where women were really educated on their bodies and how their bodies work and how to feel when they're ovulating and how relationships work and how sex works and when to know a good person to have sex with and when to know a good person not to